And we have to do the newspapers. I have joining me Gifty and Apia, and she's just streaming, looking beautiful this morning. Oh, Gifty, I'd say.
Roland, how are you?
Yeah, and Gifty and Apia is the head of our security desk. And it's important that we put matters into perspective because a lot has been happening in Mali. And Gifty, we've been looking at this over the last 12 hours, I have to believe, or if not 24 hours exactly.
I mean, this is how it usually starts, as you already know. I don't know if what you're asking for is an update based on my monitoring of what's the international media space is reporting. As it stands now, the parliament has been dissolved in Mali. The president, has resigned himself. We know that the army had him, the military personnel that led this mutiny that essentially led into a coup were holding him and some other officials, including his son. And we know at this point that he's been, he's announced that he's stepping down, which you could give it all kinds of analysis. But we know that as it stands now, there are calls from several groups, including the United Nations, the ECOWAS, the AU, of course, the former colonialists of Mali, who, of course, don't leave after the didn't leave after the colonialism. I'm talking about France. They've all called for the immediate release of the leaders who were taken by the military. Right now, the country does not have a leader. We know that for sure. We're yet to see what those who led this coup would do, whether they're going to appoint civil leaders, whether they're going to hold them. So I think they've been addressing the press as well. So there's a lot to talk about. There's actually a lot to chew on as far as what's happening in Mali is concerned. Very sad one. But coups don't just happen in a day, Roland. Coups kind of build up. And if you're talking about Mali and like most of the countries within the Sahel region, we know what the terrorists are also doing. They're taking advantage of a lot of loopholes, a lot of social problems, which is what typically they do. And all you need is a trigger, a very tiny little trigger. And what I'm gathering from what international media organizations are reporting at this point, because we're not in Bamako, is that there has been an issue over pay, salary. There has also been an issue over the way that the military feels that the country has generally dealt with security. So there is an issue of deteriorating security there as well. There are issues of corruption. There are issues of economic mismanagement. You can't put this past any African government. And I think that we're seeing the result of something that has been building up over the time, and terrorists who are always standing by to take advantage of the situation. In fact, the northern part of Mali has been almost ungovernable. It's been taken over by Tuareg rebels. We know that for sure. You can say that about Burkina Faso. You can say that about other countries as well. So, Roland, this is where we are. Hopefully, along the line, we'll be able to have more conversation about what is happening. But coups don't happen in a day. It usually comes on the back of pre-existing security lapses, pre-existing security problems, pre-existing social inequalities or inequities. And of course, corruption can't be ruled out. Economic mismanagement, we're seeing that as well here as cited as a problem in Mali. And you see the sort of public support that the military, when they take over in some of these cases, they get. Because, President Keita himself there have been calls for him to step down. He's just been president since 2013, but there have been calls for him to step down following all these issues that have raised corruption, economic mismanagement, and that hasn't happened. So as soon as this happened, I was watching Al Jazeera, and you saw the number of people that, and there have been protests over the period. There have already been protests. So it's sort of just like when you light a match and you already have petrol on the floor. So you just kind of caught up and we've seen this in African, we've seen it here in Ghana. When coups happen, people jump on the street and they support them. Now, what happens to the country from then on is where the big conversation is. It is sad that in the 21st century, we are looking at coups. You would have thought that we have moved away from there. But yeah, this is the stark reality that we're facing. I'm looking forward to see how the UN, we understand that there's supposed to be a Security Council meeting, a UN Security Council meeting today. So we wait to see what that meeting brings, what the outcome of that particular meeting will be. I want to hear what the AU is doing apart from calling for the immediate release of the former president. Mind you, France has already been in Mali. They've been trying to help with the fight against the Tuareg rebels and other jihadist groups that are operating in the Sahel region already. So I don't know how it was possible, for the military to just bump in and arrest or, take in the president and the prime minister. I don't know how that happened, how they were able to get also other heads or other heads of institutions or other heads of ministries in that country. I don't know, perhaps there were security lapses that were already overlooked, and they were able to take advantage of this because you had France right there in the country at this point. So we're waiting to see what the ECOWAS says, what the AU says, apart from calling for the release of these leaders, and what the Security Council brings later in the day. And there's going to be a lot of news about Mali today, obviously. And we'll see also how the terrorist groups that have taken advantage of the situation also, behave as we go along. Roland.
Yeah, and since that unrest with the invasion of the Tuareg rebels in 2012, we do know that in 2018, following that the election, there were a number of incidents. And if you read recent literature, it said that there were concerns about some of the electoral results. They had been taken to court, but the suspicion was that they were manipulated at the courts. And as a result of that, these tensions have been brewing, just to complement what you said. But let's go to the international front and also get to know what really the international media is also reporting based on as a follow-up from what Gifty has been telling us, because you get onto the mainstreams here, and this is the BBC. Says soldier sees Mali President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita. And as again enumerated by Gifty and Apia, the head of our security desk, the action by the military seems to have the overwhelming support, if not the majority of Malians, especially in the capital, Bamako. Yeah, you can see the crowds in there jubilating. It's a semblance of a situation, again, Gifting paint to... to be the same scenario that have accompanied coups, not only to this day, but also even decades past, even in Ghana. She again reiterated, and I think we have to put that into perspective. Now, you go to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera says Mali's Keita resigns as president after military mutiny. And we have to say that it's not. It's almost like a bloodless mutiny. So even though we're told that there have been some forced kidnappings, etc., before this concession by the president, but we've had a number of the world international. Or the world, or the
one. So it has essentially moved from mutiny to a coup now, because it started as a mutiny where you have this thing happening within the military or in the military camp, but it's quickly moved from there. Once they had the president and the prime minister, it moved from there to a coup. Now that the president has been forced to resign.
Concede and say I'm resigning, yeah. And so the Al Jazeera network has been reporting widely on this as well, and they even, you go to their opinion page, they also try to trace what may have resulted in the current state as it is. But we've had condemnations from the African Union, ECOWAS, the UN also condemning this as well. They before now demanded for his release, but the crisis had started, and we know that this is where we are currently. Let's go to the British tabloid.
Another quick intervention, Roland. We also know that I think one of the actions taken by ECOWAS and the AU was to block, close the borders to Mali, close the Malian borders to, as much as possible, try and avoid or prevent cash inflows, to try also prevent, movement of arms, which is usually what happens in some of these cases. So you have all kinds of people who are ready to just take advantage of the situation. I think it's a good thing that they've been able to close the borders. But once again, you know that most of our borders are artificial. Most of our borders, if we want to take Ghana as an example, you can have your kitchen in Ghana and have your bathroom in Togo. So most of our borders are artificial, so you can still have people seeping through. But once it is there's an official closure of the borders, I think it's a good thing. But obviously, there will still be areas where people can get into the country anyhow. But that's at least a good intervention, I would say.
All right. So we also do know that their former colony, France, has a military presence there. The U.S. also has a great military reconnaissance missions that they tend to undertake. Even we as a country also have a number of our troops as part of the whole intervention of the UN also in there. But it's also for good reason. The Al-Qaeda linked and ISIL linked groups also have been operating within the Sahel region, as already indicated. But Gifty, let's talk about the spillover effect. What does it mean for, again, increasing the instability within the sub-region?
Well, the instability within the sub-region is sad. Sometimes I think we've even become a bit fatigued about it. Look at what's happening in Nigeria. Nigeria is a big country. It's got its acts together, but it still has a problem of Boko Haram threatening the peace. There are still issues of stories of kidnapping. There are still stories of all kinds of security problems. You can talk about Burkina Faso. Part of Burkina Faso is totally ungovernable. I mean, the northern part of Burkina Faso. So usually you'd have countries who are, they are pre-existing conflicts, okay? And unfortunately for these countries, they have jihadists operating there who are taking advantage of this. And one of the things that jihadists do, or one of the things that these rebel groups do, is that they'll have a way of providing some sort of hope for your young people. Now, mind you, Mali has a huge youthful population. They'll take advantage of the unemployment, for example, of the youth and begin to put in social intervention. So they can have a place where they are governing or where they have roots. So it's, say, in the northern part of Burkina Faso, where you have a lot of these people providing basic necessities, for example, for the society. Now, they look at their lives and they feel like government has not provided this for us. So if these people are providing it for us, besides they have arms, let's succumb. So it's the spillover is just, I can't imagine. I don't pretend to be an expert on these and to have all of the answers, but I think it's common sense that groups that are rebel groups are just going to take advantage of the situation. It's good, like I said, that they have closed the borders, but there certainly will be a way for them to go through. I think that there has to be an increase in, security. There has to be an increase in security presence at the borders now that they have been closed, to make sure that there aren't an inflows of arms, there aren't inflows of finances that support these coups. And I'm hoping that there will be a quick reinstatement of order in the country. But otherwise, we know Niger has its own problems. We know it's just terrible. It's like a sleeping lion waiting to be awakened. And how we treat it quickly within these few hours will go a long way to determine what the outcomes that you're asking about, Roland, from my perspective, will be.
Right. Well, we know that we'll do further analysis right here on the show. We'll try as much as possible and get comprehensive updates from those who teach international relations, the political scientists and the analysts on this when we're having the discussions. But Gifty, we have at least some 8 minutes. Let's quickly see what we can do with the newspapers we have. You have the Finder, the Daily Guide, I believe, and then the Statesman. Please quickly just go through for us.
Okay, let me see what I can do with this. I'm going to start with the Statesman newspaper. The Daily Statesman banner headline, 289 million building 4 interchanges. That story is on page 2 of the Statesman newspaper. And beneath that, you have a very beautiful picture of an interchange. And then, but $260 million built only one under Mahama. Obviously, you'd expect that the government would just, go ahead and state what it has done, but it's good to do some analysis, some comparison, which they're doing quite brilliantly here. Then beneath that story, there's a picture of Martin Amidu and Mr. Ahoy. Martin Amidu fires Ahoy Nana over irredeemable lies in book against Rawling. That story is also on page 2 of the newspaper. On top of the banner headline, Ekufuado, my government constructs visible roads. Yeah. The story is on page 2. All right, there's some people construct invisible roads, exactly what the story seeks to suggest. So I think that's what I have for the front page for the Statesman newspaper. I also have the Daily Guide. Daily Guide says, Baumia flays Mahama. One NDC interchange, $260 million. 4 NPP cost $289 million. So the analysis is done also very brilliantly here on the Daily Guide newspaper, comparing how much it costs to build roads in under Mahama administration and under the Ekufuado administration. You can get yourself a copy of the newspaper. Beneath that story, you have Roman father rallies 4 more for Nana. Okay. Religion meeting politics there for you. And Amidu exposes Ahoy lies. Then leave me alone. Tracy Boachi screams at Ken. Tracy Boachi seems to be trending a whole lot these days. And child rights lords Nana's free JHS meals. Anything to add on to the political conversation. Right, so the Daily Guide newspaper, I think this must be the back page. Coronavirus strikes Liverpool, Marseille, and 2 teams play naked in protest against cash. Oh, that's an interesting story that Roland will be very interested in. 2 teams playing naked. Maybe you can read the first paragraph.
It's not something I'm interested in, but it will be a good thing to watch.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, fan names baby girl after Ozil. And Boachi is Ghana's strongest. Okay. See what else I have on the... Okay. I think that's about all that I have for the Daily Guide. Let's see. Final newspaper. I'm going to wrap up with the final newspaper, Roland, if you'll just indulge me for a while. Final newspaper, banner headline, 17,334 NPP projects. Stories are on pages 8 and page 9. 8,746 completed, 8,588 ongoing. Dr. Baumia unveils project delivery tracker website. Comes the picture of himself, his wife, Samira Baumia. And keep to the roadmap against political vigilantism. Professor Asante is saying that another very important story, and we joke with some of these stories sometimes, I think, but if you look at what is happening in Mali, you can't take away the politics from the security issues. They're always intertwined. So when it starts, showing its face gradually, rearing its head, that's when you have to stamp it. I hope we're able to do that and do it well. Other stories there, we are completing inherited projects. That's Dr. Baumia on page 4 of the Finder newspaper. And sex offenders register in the offing, Dofsu boss. Okay, we want to see it already, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So we know who are the sex offenders. We can profile them. And nine new COVID-19 deaths pushes toll to 248 with 1,949 active cases. 1,000. Obviously, we have reduced the rate at which we were testing. We know that for sure. And so the experts have said that anytime we're quoting these numbers, it's good to indicate the context. We're not testing enough. We'll also change the case definition a little bit. So fewer cases there, but people are still dying. So we need to take care of ourselves. Okay, so some of the stories on the pages. UTAC commends government for granting Coltech autonomy. Not sure what that story is about. And GCB improves on power, 100 banks on social media. Keep to the roadmap against political vigilantism. I think, Roland, the final bit of my submission is on the back page of the Finder newspaper, where it has pictures, 17,334 NPP projects. You want to take your time, read that story if you're interested in measuring government's output so far as we near the elections. Roland, that'll be it for me for here.
Well, let me just quickly go through. I have the ones left. The Ghanaian Times has on the front page, we'll deal with voter registration offences soon. We brought that to you as well right here on Joy News. Police also assure nation. Up there, we do have GPHA retired engineer defrauded the company or the corporation of some 1.4 million Ghana cedis, and we know that this case is in court. It's been adjourned to August 31. Okay, and it's the case of Mohammed Aminu Bonkano. Okay, and we also do have President cuts sword for the construction of 200 million kilometer road in Lambele. At the government town hall meeting, the vice president calls on Ghanaians to give President Coup overwhelming endorsement at the December polls to continue his good work done so far. On the back page, it's about Ashanti region recording more road accident fatalities than other regions, and Temaway Bridge is finding its way here because it's been inaugurated. Front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, Haruna Tess' new book, Rawlings is Too Important in Ghana's Politics to be Written Off. And he's written the book and titled it Ahirine Pankasa, Standing with JDM, Abdul Rahman Haruna Atta. All right.
Someone said this is the year of books.
Yeah, 2020, right? After Corona, we've been seeing Amazon-like publications so far. We've been good.
Mine is coming soon.
Yeah, we need your life story because you're a myth. Very mythical figure. The six. Say you nimo. You be so the 6 constituencies that recorded cases of violence during the 2020 voter registration, and this is very indicative because then it points to where we're going currently. We do have the custodian. I would do Mahama. Good morning to you. You're the managing editor, and the front page is about Martin Amidu berating Nana Jane over working with Rawlings' book, and we know that the NDC vice presidential running mate. I think running mate is more appropriate because they are usually not on the ballot paper. She wrote the foreword for the Professor Ahoy book, so.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
I've been trying to track down one of the books for myself.
Yeah. I've been wondering what's the political rationale for publishing this at this time, but you know.
You think there's a political rationale? Well, it's a political season, so anything to spice it up. Yeah, by all means. Good. If I'm a publisher, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a deliberate.
Well, we love the drama, so we'll go along with it. Daily Graphic, though, has on the front page Elizabeth Ohene returning to Graphic as guest editor, but she's also been on the BBC as they mark the years that they've been focused on Africa, and great work also just trying to cover the continent. And she's been writing some good articles in there as well. You go to their site, you read some nice one. Advertisers UN partner to celebrate humanitarian workers. COVID-19 spurs growth in mobile money, and our project costs less. Provide value for money. Dr. Baumia. It's a story found by Chris Nono for the Daily Graphic. It's at the town hall meeting. The vice president was at his Voce for Us Best. Booming yesterday evening. All right, Gifty. We don't have time for your pick. I think you've chewed on the Malian issue enough, but I can give you 1 minute. Let me give you 1 minute. So 60 seconds, please start.
Oh, like seriously, what do you give me? You give someone like me 60 seconds. I don't know what else you want me to say. But
you spent 30 seconds, Gifty. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have any pick. I just say that I'm interested to see how this Martin Amidu and Ahoy, story ends eventually. But I think for most of the newspapers, the big story has been what the NPP said it has done in government. I think the NPP is doing something that the NDC was accused of not doing a lot in 2016. People said that, in fact, people within the NDC said that the NDC was not able to communicate its achievements very well, despite the green book or whatever, yellow book, whatever there was. I think that the NPP has been very deliberate in putting out what they have done. But I think whilst they are at it, they also have the risk of making people feel like, yeah, really, that really feeling like you have done this, you have done that. Is it enough for me? Am I feeling it, as a voter? Am I feeling it in my pocket as a voter? Am I feeling it in my life, the things you're touting? So I think that there should be a little bit of a balance there whilst you're touting what you believe you have done, because your predecessor, people have said, lost the election, not projecting what they have done. You also want to make sure that people are actually feeling the change that they voted for, that people are actually living the change that they voted for. And it's not just about you showing us the infrastructure. It's also about making us see that the policy interventions that we put in, and sometimes it's just good to admit your mistakes. If you made a mistake and you think that something didn't work here, you think that you could not achieve something you wanted to achieve, just be honest with people. And the discerning voter will certainly like you for that, maybe give you his or her vote.
Yeah.
So you're giving me 60 seconds, you've restricted me, so I've tried.
Yeah, I know, right? You took 3 minutes, but Charlie, Gifty, I forgive you. You're lovely always.
Roland, have a great day. I miss you.
Oh, I did too. I'll look forward to it. I know that you don't think of the work, but don't worry. When you're getting closer to your restart, you will think of the work. But in the meantime, we have to go for a break. Gifty and Rapia, great work as always, helping us do some great analysis and reviews in the segment. But next, we have to bring you the latest sports headlines with Benedict Owusu right here on the show.